Welcome to this overview of the Qalyptus Administration area. In this video, we'll walk through every section of the administration interface, what each screen contains, and what you can configure. Let's get started. When you open the administration area, you land on the dashboard. This gives you a real-time snapshot of your environment. At the top, you'll see 4 counters: projects, reports, destinations, and tasks, including how many of those tasks are actively used in schedules. Below that, a chart shows the distribution of all scheduled tasks by status. And at the bottom, you'll find the list of tasks scheduled for the next 7 days, along with their next execution dates and times. The Administrators tab lists all users who currently hold the administrator role. In General Settings, you configure the core server-wide parameters. Here, you set the public host name, the fully qualified domain name used for links sent to users and by third-party systems to access Qalyptus, such as an identity provider. You also define the storage folder, where all data files are saved, and the site default language for unauthenticated users. Further down, you can configure data retention periods for logs and on-demand history, set the task priority for on-demand requests, select the default theme, cap the maximum subscriptions per user, and define the click event check frequency. Hub Settings controls the email presentation for Hub subscriptions. You can set the sender's display name and email address, add a custom email footer, useful for legal disclaimers, and toggle the visibility of the Manage My Subscriptions link in email footers. In API Keys under Settings, you enable and configure token-based authentication for the REST API. You can toggle API key authentication on or off and set the default expiration period between 1 and 365 days. Once enabled, users can generate their own keys from their profile. The Server Configuration section links to the dedicated documentation for the Qalyptus Server Configuration Windows application. This is a separate tool found in the Windows Start menu. From there, you can change the server port, switch between HTTPS and HTTP, install a third-party SSL certificate, modify the database port, install ClickSense certificates, and change the Windows Service user. Each of these topics is fully documented with step-by-step instructions in the linked pages. Now, let's move to user management. Under Users, you see the full list of user accounts in the system. Opening the Creation drawer, you'll find fields for first name, last name, email address, optional domain account for Windows authentication, preferred language, organization assignment, roles, and an enable/disable toggle. You can also create recipient accounts, email-only accounts for external stakeholders who don't need to log in. Users can also be imported in bulk via an Excel template or synchronized from Active Directory or Microsoft Entra ID, which we cover just below. In Groups, you manage logical groupings of users. The list shows all existing groups, including their names, descriptions, and assigned organizations. When you open the Creation drawer, you provide a name, an optional description, and select an organization. Groups are dynamic. When a user is removed from an organization, they are automatically removed from that organization's groups. User Directories is where you configure synchronization with external directories. You can connect to Active Directory via LDAP or LDAPS, or to Microsoft Entra ID using an Azure App Registration. In both cases, you set the sync frequency, manual, daily, weekly, or monthly, and the synchronization will automatically create or update user and group accounts in Qalyptus. In SMTP configuration, you set up the email server for all outgoing notifications and report deliveries. The form includes the server name, from address, subject prefix, host, port, SSL, toggle, and credentials. A built-in Test Connection button lets you validate the configuration before saving, and any errors are logged in the SMTP activity log. Security roles is where you manage role-based access control. The list shows the 6 default system roles: administrators, developers, users, and 3 product-specific roles, which cannot be modified. From the creation drawer, you can define custom roles with granular permissions, choosing whether they apply to all projects or to specific ones. Organizations, an Enterprise Edition feature, allows you to create fully isolated tenants within a single Qalyptus instance. Each organization can have its own users, groups, projects, tasks, authentication methods, themes, and click apps. This is ideal for multi-subsidiary environments or white-label deployments. Under authentication, you configure which login methods are enabled for each organization. Available methods include Qalyptus authentication, email and password, Windows authentication, domain accounts, and identity provider SSO via SAML 2.0. The available options depend on your edition, business or enterprise. Storage services lets you configure external file delivery destinations for tasks. Supported services include FTP, SFTP, Google Drive, SharePoint, OneDrive, and Dropbox. Each service has its own configuration drawer. For cloud services, this involves OAuth credentials from the respective developer console. Once connected, the service remains available until manually revoked. In Backup and Restore, you manage your database backups. A backup captures the full database, users, content, settings, and execution history. You can run a backup manually or set a schedule. Backups are stored as compressed files in the default data folder. To restore, you provide the path to the backup file. Note that project and template files must be backed up separately via the file system. Trusted Origins manages the CORS policy for the Qalyptus REST API. Each entry in the list represents an authorized origin, an external web application that is permitted to make cross-origin API requests. The creation drawer simply requires a name and the full URL of the origin. Identity Providers is where you configure SSO for your organizations. Qalyptus supports SAML 2.0, compatible with Okta, Azure AD, ADFS, Ping Identity, and others, and JWT using RSA public keys. Each identity provider is assigned to a specific organization. API keys give administrators a consolidated view of all tokens generated by users across the platform. From here, you can monitor and revoke any key at any time. Moving to Hub configuration, under Themes, you customize the visual branding of the Hub portal. Each theme has a name, a display mode, light, dark, or black, custom colors, a logo, and a favicon. You can preview a theme before saving it. Themes are then assigned per organization from the organization screen. Folders let you organize ClickSense apps into a hierarchy within the hub. The list shows all existing folders and their parent structure. When creating a folder, you simply provide a name and optionally select a parent folder. Apps are then assigned to folders during app synchronization settings. Under ClickSense applications, you configure the synchronization between Qalyptus and your ClickSense server. The settings include the ClickSense server address, the ClickSense user account, the default folder, and the optional auto sync schedule. Once synced, you can configure each app individually, assigning it to a folder, an organization, and optionally a mashup. You can also create custom mashups directly from this screen by selecting a template and configuring the sheets to include. Finally, Resources lets you publish external links directly in the Qalyptus Hub. Each resource has a name, description, a URL, and an organization assignment for visibility control. Resources appear alongside apps and reports in the Hub for authorized users. In the License tab, you will find information about your license and links to manage it. Thank you for watching this video that covers the complete Qalyptus Administration interface. For detailed configuration, please refer to the Qalyptus documentation website.